G'day, hi, and welcome. All right, how long of a video I'm going to be able to make, but, go like that. This was a bit of a breeze today. I'm going to try to get my garden in. Got some of it in. Check out my hat. Okay, this is what I should have done the other day. Got my fur harvester's auction. What? Two fur, what? Why do I got two of the same? Oh, okay, I got it en français. Okay, so I got a French one, I got an English one. Okay, I'll put the en français one away because I don't need to use that one. This is the Fur Harvester's auction letter. You always get these letters and they got all the prices on the back of the furs. And I'm going to do you a comparison. Here's my statement here. I probably shouldn't show you that one, but I'll read it off to you anyway. So, anyway. Okay, so this was sales results April 17th to the 20th, 2021. That was the spring auction, okay? It has been over a year since the global, I need reading glasses, global COVID-19 pandemic began. Since this time, the world's fur trade has suffered, and traditional lives auctions where international buyers could travel freely to attend them and inspect and bid on the goods and has been ceased, right? So basically what happens, I've probably explained it before, but I'll explain it again just so anybody that's interested in getting into trapping. Right now is probably a bad time. It's kind of, trapping's a bit like the gold rush. You know, like not that there was ever a bad time to get into the gold rush, but it was just it's kind of like the gold rush. Whenever the fur prices are good, everybody goes out trapping, and whenever the fur prices are not so good, almost everybody pulls back, which usually will drive the fur prices up a bit. But considering the world we're going into, a lot of politics I'm not going to get into, but you know, some of the things like a meatless society is probably going to mean a furless society fairly soon. So it's only a matter of time, I think, before the fur trade's banned anyway. And not only that, synthetics, just even if they don't ban it, just people are more likely to buy synthetic fur than they are to buy real fur, just, you know, the way it's promoted and everything like that. So who knows? But utility fur is still the number one. Luxury fur is dropping. But however, there's a catch-22 there. The few people that will want a fur coat, like luxury fur, are going to now pay, you know, a $1,500 coat is now probably going to be a $15,000 coat. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm not accurate on the price, but, you know, the more rare it becomes, okay. During this past year, hard decisions had been made. All these calls were made for one reason and one reason alone: to ensure this trapper-owned fur auction house remains. Hard times call for such measures, and it is now clear that things are improving. Yeah. Okay. Competitive bidding of fur for the auction is the only way to determine the bias of the true value of your product. Yeah, okay, so, you know, yeah. Early 2020, the FHA, for Harvester's Auction, for those of you who don't, that's who I use anyway, developed its own online selling platform. Global travel was restricted. We just completed our third auction using this system. Many changes have been made since the first auction using this platform, and the evolution of the changes helped to realize the results this past week. A great deal, this is again from April, so a great deal of effort was put forward by the Fur Harvesters Auction team to improve these changes that helped sell goods at a better level and stronger clearances. we did have a good number of Canadian attend to inspect goods the week prior to our online auction. This was beneficial. We are grateful to these buyers that attended the our inspection days. Okay. The real game changer was our effort to put forth taking photos, in many cases 30-second videos of thousands of samples of linked. You got to understand, there's like there's probably about 1 million furs or more that they have to go through. It takes time. It takes time. Thousands of samples to look through on our online buyers catalog. Close to 200 registered buyers around the world could view each lot depiction with attached photos of video a lot per lot. This was very well received by those actively participating and playing a paramount role in overall success of this third sale. During these challenging times, another change was we sold each article lot by lot, and bidded began 2 full days before we began closing lots. Okay, what is a lot? What are they talking about? Okay, when my fur gets graded, or your fur, whatever, gets graded, okay, it's graded to whatever it's graded to, right? And all the furs that are graded to that level get put in batches of typically, say, like 50 or 100 or whatever. That's what a lot is. That's what they're talking about, just so those you know. So your fur is not sold one at a time. It's sold in batches. Yeah. As you know, like this level of quality, okay? While we all want the days to return where the road comes to North Bay to buy fur, we are not there yet. However, the results of this auction show that interest is in many fur species is improving, and buying community is comfortable with our online and integrity and our grading assortments. Now, mind you, these people know how to grade fur, so as long as they're not trying to cheat anybody, they'll grade them fairly honestly. But you're talking about people that are buying furs for different reasons. If you're talking about a utility fur, Chinese military, for example, buying the fur for their hats or whatever, they probably just want anything that'll get the job done. If you're talking about Canada Goose jackets, they're probably going to want a slightly higher standards. If you're talking about Dworkin furs, somebody like that, I don't know if these guys use this. I know the Chinese military does, but Chinese, I think, are like the number one buyers of usually like muskrat and beaver pelts, because they use them for the hats for the military and stuff like that. But like Canadian Goose, they might use their own farms and stuff like that. I think they have their own fox farm or faux farms. They're not fox, but faux. They're like a kind of like a raccoonish kind of looking thing. I think they've got those, and they may not use these auction houses, but I'm just using them as an example. Dworkin furs, they might have their own mink farms and own fox farms or whatever. They may not use that, but I'm using them as an example. But like Dworkin furs, they make luxury fur jackets and hats and whatever. That said, must be an airplane going over. Yesterday while I was driving, just a little side note, I was driving, there was a Chinook, like the twin-rotored helicopter, Canadian Chinook. He was out on patrol there, flying about 500 feet in front of me. He's like, that's cool. I know, has nothing to do with nothing. Back to the video. I have said before, I am proud to say that that trappers are the resilient breed, but built for hard work. Fucking say that again. Um, and often operate in harsh environments. Repeat last statement. Yeah, falling through ice, clunked in the head, attacked by saber-toothed squirrels, chickadees of doom following you, wanting to be fed the whole way. It's freaking harsh out there. It's harsh out there. I do love the trap line. I really do. These are harsh and trying times, and they have made us all stronger and for the better for it. It made us more grumpy. I know that. To all our loyal shippers and global trade participants on this auction, we are very grateful. We look forward to welcoming you in person to North Bay in the future. So respectfully, Mark Downey, Chief Executive Officer for Harvesters Auction, Inc. You're incorporated. So, okay, now, the prices went up. This is good. They're not lying. Now, you got to understand, the fur trade in Canada, basically, this is just Canada. This doesn't include the United States. I'm sure it's even higher in the United States. You're looking at, I can't remember what I last read, but it's close to, just the trappers alone is about 250,000 people, probably, give or take. That's a lot of First Nations, a lot of Métis, a lot of old stock Canadians like myself. Yeah, we all trapped, right? We all, we have lineage of trappers. Like that was a common thing. My grandfather trapped. He wasn't he was more of a farmer than a trapper, but they all did it. My uncles, they all trapped. My great grandfather, they would have all trapped. A lot of the times they trapped for food. You know what I mean? But, people used to live off the land, and it wasn't all that long ago that, like back in the 1980s when I was a kid getting into trapping with my dad, we were just hobby trappers. And the furs, furs were crazy. Like otters were $300-400. I got a fisher for $500 in a trap unskinned. I sold it for $500. My second fisher had a damaged tail. I got $150 for that unskinned. Beavers were crazy money. It was unbelievable. And like my dad said, like back then, he says like he didn't even skin them like properly or like that. Like he didn't know what he was doing at first, and then like he couldn't believe the prices we were getting. So yeah, you could make a living on it in the 1980s. But even at that, the 1980s prices were not as good as the 1920s prices. Basically catching an otter in 1920, somewhere in the 1920s, some of the otters were like nearly $400 back. That's like a year's pay for some people back then. You know what I mean? Like it was really cool. And then of course you had the beaver hat craze there. Way before that was just like ridiculous. Like it would, yeah. But people were also killing each other on the trap lines for stuff like that back then too. So it was not talking 1980s or 1920s, but before that. During the times of the Voyageurs, yeah, and Hudson's Bay Company and all that. So okay, so beaver offered 75,374, which is, I think that's a lower number. Sold 55%, unsold 55% unsold. Section first section Eastern, third section is I guess would be like BC or whatever. Average, or sorry, top $103.20. That's the top beaver sold, batch sold. Average $17.03. That was your average. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, that said, I'm pretty sure I got more than average on all of them. I'll have to look at it again. I haven't looked at it in about a week. But I've gotten I think 122 or 124 is the highest I've ever gotten for a beaver. And almost all my pelts are usually pretty prime, so. Castorum, basically the casters, Yeah, so the average price is, I think the last time was like $9. So yeah, that was the average price in 2020 was $9. I can't remember, and I think the top was $40 or $60. I wish I kept the other one to give you a comparison. So the good news is that the prices have almost doubled. So hopefully they'll do that again. And anyway, Castorum. So that's the casters. West Select was $144 a pound. Mind you, you're talking like that many casters to get a pound, but grade 1, $132 a pound. Grade two, $120 a pound. Grade 3, $108 a pound. That's not bad if you can get a pound of beaver casters. That's after they're dried out properly and everything like that. So it's like, I mean, these things are like popcorn when they dry out. You know, I mean, they're not super dry, but they're dry enough that they don't weigh very much. But that's not bad. Mink. Oh, okay, mink, 78% sold. Okay, so they sold mink this time. Average $6.88. Top $12.60. I had a mink one time that was like 30 or $40. And mink has dropped down because of the mink farms and stuff like that. So that's, I think most people know that. Sable, which is like a mink. Mink, 11,029. That's all that was offered. So now, mind you, I don't know how many furs would have went bad in the past year. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Sable, 23,949 offered, 94% sold. That's pretty darn good. And what you have, okay, you got a bunch of prices here. So 3X, 2X, HVY, $71.26. Woo. 1X HVY, $59.26. LG, which is large, HVY is 42. The top dollar was 79.20. Yeah, and it just goes through them. 3X, because they like these animals like sable, mink, even beaver. They will have different colors in different regions of the country. That's what you're looking at. Now 3X, 2X, semi 66, 66. 1X semi 5502, large semi 4003. So that's a sable. Sable's kind of like a weasel, kind of like a mink, that kind of thing. We don't really have sable around here that I'm aware of. I can imagine the otter one passed through, but otter, 8,568 were offered, 60% sold. Now, I had a lot of otters. The top dollar for an otter, $73.20. The otter that I got the most, I think our highest otter was $105 a few years ago. Average $19.73. Yeah, that's right. That's a kick to the groin right there. Fisher, 13,158 offered, 51% sold. Top dollar, $33.60. Average $19.85. So at least there's not much of a disparity between the average and the top dollar. But what that's telling you is that the prices are definitely down. Fisher, lynx. Now I think I'm allowed one lynx. I'd have to look at the regulation. It changes every couple of years. Every 2 years it changes. 3,284 were offered. 35% sold. One section. Oh my God, this is devastating. Top dollar, $120 for a lynx. Average 80.21, which again suggests that there's not that much variation between the top and the bottom. So Lynx Cat, 7,632. 99% sold of the Canadian, 25% sold of Western, 95% sold of Central. So these are good numbers. Okay, these are more believable. Even so, these are okay. The Canadian link is basically top dollar 182.40. Average was 112.56. Western was $600. That's the one. That's the one like in Northwest Territories. They fetch these things usually fetch like 1,000. Average was 237.53. Central was 189.60, and average was 134.64. Muskrat 81,532 or 39 offered. 89% sold. So muskrat is definitely a targeted species that you want. Top dollar $10.68. Average $6.14. I didn't catch one. I don't think I caught one muskrat last time I trapped. Or did I? No, I didn't. I didn't catch one muskrat, strangely enough. But it shows you that 98% of them sold, so that's good. That's good. Red fox, 23,425. I got a bunch of categories here. So 36% for the northern sold, 24% for the eastern. Western and central mainly unsold. No prices for western and central foxes. They didn't sell. When there's no prices, that means like nothing sold. Average price for the northern red fox, $33.60. Yeah, it's probably around average. It's a little bit low. Or that's the high. On the average is $20.02. And the eastern was $33.60 again for the top, and $14.56 for the average. So, cross fox, 256 offered, 100% sold. Wow. One section, again, not very much. $61.20 for the top, and $41.78 was the average. It's not that great. Gray fox, 4,013, mainly unsold, no prices. White fox, 343, 100% sold, section 1. Average price, 121.20, top price. Average price was 61.56. Silver fox, 79 offered, 100% sold, section 1. 55.20 for the top dollar, and $39.01 for the average. Coyote, 31,307, 95% sold for the western, 89% for the eastern, and 53% for the central. No top prices. This is interesting. Got average prices, but no top prices. Okay, so for the western, you've got an average price of $118.22, no top price. For the eastern, you've got $54.82 with a top price of $177.60, which is not bad for a coyote for the eastern, and that would be my region. And for the central, which gets you down into the States, $14.80 was the average. So a coyote could have fetched me up to $177. That's nice. That is pretty nice. Raccoon. This is going to be always the biggest category. 102,760. 13% sold. Top price $28.80. That's probably about half of the top. The most I ever got for a raccoon, I think, was like $48 or something like that. Average price $10.04. Emmon, which is like a giant weasel. It's like a weasel. 19,166, 50% sold. Hey, that's not bad. Top dollar, $9.72. I guess that's about average. The average, $3.43. Squirrel, 3,020, 100% sold. They actually buy a squirrel? Okay. Okay, maybe I'll put squirrels on there. Top dollar, $5.16. Average, $2.05. But you could make a lot of, I mean, how many squirrels could you skin in an hour? Oh, poor little squirrel. You could get a lot of them, though. Skunk, 636 offered. 100% sold. Top dollar, $32.40. Average, $6.53. That is a unique kind of trapper that will trap skunks. If you do it very carefully, you could but you get like if you squish that gland at all, like I mean, I've yet to skin a weasel without getting that musk smell on my gloves. You know what I mean? Badger, 434, mainly unsold. Opossum, this would be all the states, I guess. $3,600.10, mainly unsold. Wolverine, although I'm not allowed to trap them here, only 96 Wolverines were caught. 93% sold. Oh, you're going to love the top dollar on this one. 666. Average 364. 38 was the average. That is really low for Wolverine. Timberwolf, 517. 55% of the Arctic wolves sold. 95% of the Eastern. So, holy shit, I should have, yeah. 96% of Black wolf sold. Black. I got Arctic, Eastern, and Black. Oh, wow. Okay, these prices aren't bad. Top dollar, I'll give you the averages first, just so you can see what's going on. If you got an Arctic wolf, the average was $332.27. It was 27 cents. So you're really looking at about a day's work right there, right? The Eastern wolves, which would be my area, the average was $86.80. Not that great. Okay. The black wolves, if you could get, and there are black wolves around here, was $408.70. That's the average prices. And they sold almost all of them. Strangely, the Arctic wolves didn't sell that well. Now, their top dollar for the Arctic wolf was $786. Okay. That was the top dollar for an Arctic wolf. For Eastern, my region, was $183.60 for a wolf. That'd be worth a day's work. For a black wolf, $1,032 was the top dollar. That's the most expensive item on here. I'm amazed the Wolverines weren't more. Black bear, $298, 75% sold. I think they got this category backwards. Okay, yeah, they got the categories. They must have got it backwards. The average price was $528. The top. Oh no, sorry, no, they had it right. Okay, that was the top price. I need glasses. 136.21 was the average price for black bear. So that's all the average prices. Now, what did I get? I'm sure I got everything really good. Anyway, okay, so we'll start with. Okay, now this is also when you get this, you keep this for income tax too, right? Wait, you got a lot number, which I won't read you the lot number because it doesn't really matter, but give you an idea, it's like 10, 8, 15 would be one lot, that, okay. Size, grade, weight, they don't usually give you the weight unless you give them the weight. I don't think they bother with it for the beavers. Color, CLA, I think, is for classification, and quantity, price and amount. So My first one, a large medium, GD SLT. Okay, that's for the grade. Color brown. Okay, one to be reoffered. So that means I still have one for pending up there. And that's a large medium, so that's not too bad. Okay. The second one. Now, mind you, my first couple of beaver pelts, my first 2 or 3 beaver pelts were practice runs, getting back into it, and I kind of botched them a bit, right? It's another large medium. Okay. GD. SLT is the grade. Brown again. 1. Price, $6.93. So I actually got lower than average on that, I think. Did I? Oh, yeah, by a lot. By a lot. Okay, by a lot. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so it's... Okay, now the next one is a medium, MD. Same thing, GD SLT. Color, this is I know which one this was because it's XDK, DK. So it's kind of like it's got it had the reddish in it. Was that one there? I think it was 42 pounds or something. It wasn't a big one. It was the one I caught up there. It was really, really, had a lot of red in it. One offered, $5.04. So that was my 2 beavers there. Subtotal $11. Okay. Mink. Oh, you're going to love this. $1.92. Okay. So my beavers, I still got a couple of beavers. Yeah, I got like 8 beavers up there or something like that. Yeah, so maybe what happened is a lot of my beavers probably rotted by this time. I don't know. Okay, now we're into the otters. This is where my bread and butter should have been made, right? Oh no, okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I had 2 in that bag. Okay, yeah, so I got 4 beavers. Yeah, okay, so I had 4 beavers that were, oh no, what's this quantity 1? So I must be missing quite a few beavers that they didn't sell. Yeah, 1 be reoffered, so okay. So my mink was $1.92, and that would put him, I think, way below average by about half. Where's the mink? Yeah, 688 was the average, so I didn't do very well with the mink. Otter. Now otter. Yeah, I definitely got higher than average on that. And they were all nice otters. I know the first ones were, or so. First otter, 1 extra large. This is the word you want to hear. Select. Select means a select pelt, meaning it was such a damn good pelt that they wanted. And I know exactly which otter that one was. XK, XD, DK. So that's like extra dark. That was a really nice one, and there was 2 of them that went for 6. 2 of them. Yeah, for $33.60. So the average price was $19.73. So I got better than average, but that's still really low for a select pelt. My second one, another extra large select, but this one was DK. For the color, it was DK brown, so it was like dark brown. One was dark blackish brown, the other one was dark brown. I remember, and there was one of those for $31.20. So that's 3 otters, and then the 4th otter, 1X. They were all extra large, so that's good. GD SLT. I know which one that one was. That was the one that I had to sew up a few times. Okay, yeah. So that one, Yeah, that's the one that was the first one that I put a whole bunch of holes in. That I put 3 holes in that one. DK Brown BRN won $14.40. So that one's below average. Okay, so that gave me a subtotal of $112.80. And I had it doesn't tell me my unsolds though. 2, 3, 4. I sent up 5 otters, not 4. So one must have been. Anyway, previous balance, gross balance, deductions. So the previous balance was 3 something. Gross sales was $126.69. Deductions $13.92. That's their cut. Net pay is $116.51. Royalties and commissions, expenses, HST, all that. Okay, all that stuff is not they don't have. But anyway, that tells you what I did. Now, mind you, some of these furs were botched a little bit by me. I can say that, in all honesty, but not to the. Let's see. So I got 4 out of my 8 beaver pelts sold, and one's to be reoffered. So, there's 2 unsold. Okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe I had 7 pelts. Did I have 7 or 8? I really don't remember. So, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, because I had 5 otters, so. Oh, the raccoon, yeah, there was a raccoon too, so. Was there not something else? No, I know it said the raccoon. Yeah, so they probably tossed out the raccoon, and probably some of the beaver pelts probably rotted by the time they got everything settled out. So yeah, that's kind of what you're looking at. So is it worth it to trap? Well, the wolves might be worth it, but that's a lot of freaking work for a possible average of $86. So you could be looking at 6 to 9 hours worth of work on a wolf, maybe less, depending on how crazy you're going to take it. You're probably looking at maybe at best, maybe 4 or 5 hours work from start to finish with a wolf. I've never done a wolf pelt, but just looking at what's involved in it. Beavers, I mean, okay, my first beaver, getting back into it, took me 6 hours and a half, from start to finish. I put way too much time on that first beaver pelt. That was that big 62-pounder there. And that one never made it to auction, unfortunately, because I didn't do it right, and it didn't dry right, and I couldn't send it because it wasn't dry in time. Or no, that wasn't the first beaver. That was the biggest beaver. You guys, if you remember the video, if you haven't seen the video of me hauling that 62-pound beaver out of the bush, it's quite hilarious. How to drag him like 1.5 miles out of the bush. That's well, maybe not quite that far, but probably about 1 mile anyway. So it was a workout. Yeah, dead beaver's revenge. Had to drag him out of the bush and carry him, and in deep snow, and it was yeah. It's too bad about that pelt, because that pelt. But then again, that pelt should have been like in normal times would have probably been about $150 pelt. Like, I'm not saying that to, all my pelts are so good. My pelts are good. They're almost always prime. Okay, what gets me is when I don't, like the first 2 or 3 beaver pelts, I probably didn't flesh quite right and stuff like, getting back into it. But the last few pelts were perfect, perfect, perfect. Like you couldn't ask for nicer trim the way I did them. Those hoops I made were just, if I do trap this winter, beavers are not really going to be worth it for me to trap, but I have to do them for, so basically you're looking at an average of 2.5 hours for $6, $6.90 some odd cents. Yeah, mind you, the SLT is slightly damaged, so, but, but for the otters, $33. My first otter again was like a 6.5 hour venture. By the time I got to my last otters, I was getting them down to probably about 3 hours total from start to finish. So that's not bad. It's about $10 an hour for the otters. But those otters should have been, like the ones that, except for the one that had all the holes in it, they should have been a lot more than 30 some odd bucks. They should have been like 100 and some odd bucks. A few years ago, my average otter was like $85, and 105 was my top, whatever. And those were pretty. They weren't as nice as these ones prime wise. Yeah, so there is still money in it, but the volume you would have to catch to make a living at these prices, I don't know. Like if you're going to trap for conservation, you might as well send the furs up anyway. If it's not, if you've got nothing better to do in the winter, whatever. So if I trap this winter, it'll be just a little bit of trapping. Like it won't be a daily. Well, it'll be, you got to check your traps every other day. But I won't be as frugal about it, just to cut down on the time and the wear and tear on my body, because without a snowmobile and all that stuff. And if I had a snowmobile, I would have made no money. So it'd be something you more do as a hobby at this point. Maybe in the future it goes better. But if I put my emphasis on the wolves, and I can catch say a dozen wolves or so this winter, that would be, just from the conservation, would be worth it. But the furs, if I could do the average 86, okay, a day's work for $86, that's not really that bad. And you don't do it all in one day. Like you skin it one day, and then if you can flesh it and get it going, like, you get a procedure down, right? The problem with me is I have to do everything outside and in unheated, and skinning a beaver when it's minus 40, it's not easy. You know what I mean? When it's minus 20, minus 30, that winter was actually a really good winter because it was so cold. But it was also a bad winter in the sense that, well, it was so cold, right? So it's like you want to skin the beaver. I got my beaver, I think my fastest beaver I skinned was 22 minutes. That was one of the small ones, but that's after I got my procedure down. But I average about 35 minutes a beaver to skin. So, and that's no holes, doing a good job, whatever, skinning them on the table. I will never hang a beaver up again to skin it. The table is so much faster. But it was just a little trick of just cutting the feet and the paws off. Man, like it just saved you so much time. These getting really efficient with the cuts is where you make the money, so that you can work smarter, not harder, right? And it was one of those things that I, was starting to get good at. But by that time, like if I was going to do it this year, I got to start scouting now. And if I started scouting now, I already got 1 beaver dam, 2 beaver dams, about 4 of them picked out already. If I trap them again. Because they are flooding our property. Like I'm going to be sitting in Lake Reg pretty soon if we don't get, take them down a bit, right? I haven't been back that far in a while, but yeah, so that's what I got. That's the numbers. I will think on it. Now, for those of you joining this channel for the first time, you say, well, Reg, where's season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? They're on my other channel. Well, where's your other channel? YouTube took it down, so you can't ever see those ones. It's too bad, because there was a lot of good stuff on that. But the season 7 is obviously the one with the best camera stuff, and I think it's the one where I've given you the best how-tos of the way I do it. And with trapping, there's always, like, you know, as an occupation, it's awesome because it's about as manly as you can get. But it's you're out there in nature all the time. Like, even the worst days on the trap line are still a good day, except for when you fall through the ice. That part does suck because that one kills you. But other than that, like there are no real bad days on the trap line. You know what I mean? It's cold. Like it turns you into a different person. It teaches you a lot about endurance, and you know, there's no doubt about that. But it also makes you respect nature a lot more. It also, you know, one of the thing about the series of the Trapping 101 is that when you watch my Trapping 101, even if you're like not into trapping and you don't really like that stuff, what it does give you is it shows you that it dispels a lot of myths that are put out about trappers and stuff like that. And, oh, they're just into it, be cruel and stuff like that. No. When you see how I catch these animals are dead. By the time they realize they're dead, they've been dead for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like you do it efficiently, you do it right, nothing suffers. It's quick. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell if an animal struggled in my trap or not. And usually they don't. You know what I mean? Like, my traps are just sitting there fairly lightly so they can spring out and whatever and spring in the right direction. A lot of times it's just like, okay, well, it's right, you know, like that. If it would struggle, it would have pulled the trap around, and it doesn't. And because the techniques I use are to catch things and kill them as quickly and humanely as possible. So what normally happens is when you watch the series, you start to get the idea that, oh, there is a right way to do this, you know, and there is a reason for it. Animal conservation is a very serious thing. We don't spend enough time really managing our wildlife properly. You know, like, and again, quotas are good and stuff like that. And it's about striking balance with nature. That's what it's really about. Now, if you can make money off of that, that's great. Now, the downside is when people don't make money off of it, they stop trapping, and then you start to see the spread of disease, overpopulations, which is worse for the animals long term because they suffer more, right? So there is one of those things that when you start to, you know, like, catch animals in an area where they haven't been trapped very much, that's when you see what, you know, like, you could tell. And that's why, like, a lot of the research you hear of, like, animal activists spewed out, they don't realize they're getting from people like myself, trappers filling out surveys and stuff like that. There was a survey I meant to. I'm always getting duck surveys. So you guys probably always get the duck surveys, but I'm probably going to get another survey fairly soon. And you know, like, there's ways to tell just by the animal you caught whether the area is overpopulated by them or not. You know what I mean? You could tell, you know, if the animals are all bit up, you know that they're fighting more. And if they're fighting more, it means there's not enough territory, right? So, which means either they're going to starve to death or disease is going to take them or whatever, you know. So you can learn all these things when you get involved with it, right? So that's a lot of reasons why people do it. Some people in the northern communities, they do it because it's the only source of income they can get, right? It's an honest living. It's a tough living, but it's an honest living. That said, with the prices being so low, like, I mean, you know, to get a year's income out of beavers right now would be impossible. You know what I mean? Like, it would be impossible. Even with the select pelts, you'd only get, well, if you could catch all select pelts, yeah, $103. That's not bad. But the average was $17.30. And I'm like, okay, well, the fur on all my beavers were like that and thick and even, and you know what I mean? Like, it was just like, there was, you know, like those, they should have been at least $60 pelts each. You know what I mean? And that extra large one would have, or a quadruple extra large one that I got, the 62 pounder, that one would have probably fetched me the $103, you know, had I done it right and sent it up. You know what I mean? So there's that, right? But mind you, that $103 doesn't mean it was just a big pelt. It's just usually the bigger pelts fetch more if they're really good. It really does depend on the quality of the fur. A cold winter, good fur quality. A warm winter, not as good fur quality. It is what it is, right? But the trapping industry is still going. For how long? I don't know. I wouldn't rely on it as an income source. That's taken me okay, I sent my furs up in April of 2020, or sorry, 2019. Right, the pandemic broke out in 2020, and basically the April 2020 auction. That's how far back these furs go. So it's almost a year and a bit delayed on those furs. So that means a couple of my other furs probably went bad and rotted. The mites probably got into them, whatever. Now, mind you, they store the furs in a massive warehouse that's refrigerated and stuff like that. But furs will just deteriorate over time if they're not treated or whatever. They have to be tanned and cleaned and tanned and all that stuff. Is what it is. I'll think on it. Maybe I'll start scouting for a wolf, make some wolf trap setups, whatever. Wolf coyote. There could be money in those. But even at that, you got to catch everything when they're prime, right? So it's one of those things that if you can get the prime spot, like trap just during the prime times, like get everything set up so when it's go time, like my beavers, I didn't start to really trap them until there was ice. And this is why, like, I'll talk to guys around here, they're like, I used to get this much for a beaver. They all say, Red, you're full of shit. I've never gotten more than $25 for a beaver. I said, yeah, but what do all these guys say? Trap your beavers early while it's easy. Well, that's when they're not worth anything. I trap them under the ice. I get everything set up so I know where my traps are. Like, for example, that one beaver dam that I got late in the season, or beaver house that I got late in the season. I guess it was this spring, or when did I go up there? Yeah, I guess it was this spring when I went up there. I was off the front of the entrance by like about 4 feet. Like I was standing. It's amazing I didn't go through the water again. You know what I mean? That's where I fell in up there. And had I been right on the entrance, I probably would have caught more. And that's where some of these nice looking beavers were. These reddish, kind of dark brown reddish beavers. They were neat little beavers. I only got 2 up there, but it was just the beavers were going around the traps because they had enough room to. But otherwise, I would have trapped them out up there. And I caught those ones. I don't think there was a day I went in that swamp where it wasn't minus 30. I mean, my hands were just like, you couldn't touch the steel traps at all. Even through the gloves, it would burn your hands just because you could feel the frost, like it would suck all the heat out of your hands. It was nasty. I had to carry everything kind of in my arms like this because it was just like, it was so cold. Yeah, like that kind of damp, you can't imagine. Like you'd freeze so fast in that damp. There's nothing, like there's cold and then there's swamp cold. And if you know what I'm talking about, swamp cold, it's like, you have to experience it to understand it. Like it chills you right to the bone. It's just like, you feel the frost moving into your bones. It's like you got to keep your hands and everything moving while you're walking. It's very fatiguing. Yeah, like after 20 minutes, like no matter how well you're dressed, you can't feel you can't feel nothing. It's just, the convection is just unbelievable. How can anything live in there? You know what I mean? But there they are. There they are swimming around, happy as a clam. You know what I mean? Beavers. Yeah, it's like, what, minus 30 something? That doesn't matter. Water's still warm. The water's never below 0 because it doesn't freeze, right? The top of it does, but below it's it's not frozen, right? You think the entire thing would just turn into a big ice, like the entire creek would just turn into ice, but no, doesn't. But yeah, so that's what it is. I hope you enjoyed the little kind of what trappers. Again, I know there's going to be a lot of upset trappers. That must have been devastating for somebody getting into it for the first time. For me, I have something to compare to. Like, I mean, I've trapped, off and on over the years, and 2014 was a really good year. That was a great year for trapping. 2012, I think, was really good. first year, 2009, 2010 season wasn't that bad. But I remember, there was a bit between, I'd say between 2012 and 2014, there was a bit of a spike in the furs. Because I remember I was getting some good numbers there. And if I could have scaled it up enough, and if you look at my operation is nothing. And, you know what I mean? My highest check, I think, was 1,700 or something like that a couple of years ago. And now I get like 116. Like, that's a 90% loss, you know what I mean? Now, mind you, there's some factors. Okay, I had damaged furs because, I was out of practice. I hadn't trapped in a while. And that cost me. And I didn't have as many furs. That's the most otters I've ever sent up. But it was not the most, how do I put it? It wasn't the most I've ever sent up, but the quality of what I sent up, if I would have been sending that up in, say, 2012 to 2014, I bet you almost all those furs would have been over $60 each, maybe with the exception of the mink and the maybe one or two furs would have, but most of the furs would have been good. Now, mind you, there's still one going on reoffer. So, but remember, okay, here we go. In my otters, we had 3 select pelts. It doesn't get any better than a select pelt. And the most I got was 33. Now, select is like, these are the best of the best, right? So these are beyond your regular grades. These are, okay, this is as good as it gets. And that's the most they can fetch for select pelts. Like, that's devastating. That a select pelt should have been a couple of $100. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? In normal times. Maybe not a couple hundred, but well over 100 anyway. So anyway, that's what it is. Hope you enjoyed. All links down below if you like this kind of channel. Links are down below if you like to support the channel. Help support the channel. That's always appreciated. I'll think on the Trapping 101 Season 8. I can't redo one, I'll have to just remind people every year, why can't I? Because people are going to, my Trapping 101 series did get very popular the first time around. And a lot of people, will probably be looking for the Trapping 101 seasons 1 to 7. 7 is the best season. Anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The other stuff, this is not a professional, videographers and all that walking around with me. It's just me, right? So, day in the life of a trapper, and that's it. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. So rate, subscribe, share, comment, like, be true to yourself, be true to others. Always do the right thing. Have yourselves a great day.